Thank you.
Loving Heavenly Father, what a beautiful day that you have given us today. And what a right thing for us to do at the beginning of this meeting is to come and acknowledge you in it. We ask for your wisdom to be displayed amongst the members of our council, that they just govern this town with wisdom beyond their own. And we thank you for the blessings that you are bestowing upon this community. We ask also for your protection upon our first responders as they deal with our community and the events within it. Thanks for all the blessings, Father. May we always acknowledge you. Amen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Don. Okay, we're ready for the roll call.
Mayor Skoog is absent this evening. Vice Mayor Nye.
Definitely here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
Councilmember Mallory. Here. Councilmember Grossman.
I'm here too.
And Councilmember Marshall.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Switched it up on me.
Thank you, Diane. We're at item 5, which is scheduled announcements and presentations. And I'm very excited to announce that our Deputy Chief will be handling this segment of our meeting tonight.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. If I could have all the members of the Prescott Valley Police Department Family Violence Unit come on down, please. Vice Mayor and Council, as many of you may know, on April 21st, 2015, our Family Violence Unit was awarded the Arizona Attorney General Office Distinguished Service Award for leadership in service to victims. The award is part of our state's recognition of National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and our unit was nominated for the award by our partner, Catherine Chapman. Catherine is director of the Yavapai Family Advocacy Center located here in Prescott Valley. Catherine was also a founding member of the unit and our Yavapai County Coordinated Community Response Team. She is truly a strong advocate for victims' rights and services. Our Family Violence Unit was recognized because of its comprehensive response to address the needs of victims of family violence, sexual assault, stalking, and other related crimes. Over the past several years, the unit created a synergistic approach to the issues surrounding these crimes, including an aggressive response to repeat offenders, leadership of our Yavapai County Coordinated Community Response Team, which happens to consist of over 60 community members representing organizations from the healthcare, corrections, prosecution, and treatment fields, to just name a few. In partnership with the response team, the unit takes part in and coordinates events like Take Back the Night, Candlelight Vigil, and the Start by Believing campaign. This group effort results in better representation of victims while preserving and protecting their rights, and training of personnel who work with victims and perpetrators. Just today, Corporal Williams mentioned to me that another law enforcement agency here locally has reached out to our Family Violence Unit asking us to provide them with a roadmap to success to start a similar program within their agency. Our Family Violence Unit is truly a leader in the field, and I am proud of the work they have done to provide a comprehensive response to address the needs of these victims. Thank you.
James, get up there.
Thanks for letting us go first tonight. Appreciate that. Just kidding. No, it's really a privilege and an honor to do this work in the community, and we could not do it without the support that we get all the time from you guys on council, Mayor Larry, and Chief Edelstein, Chief Gerald. So it's good things are happening. It's a bad bad kind of a situation for a lot of people, but fortunately we've been able to really help some victims, and appreciate the recognition. Thanks for taking the time to have us here tonight.
Any other remarks? You all bashful? Then I want to say this. I have the smallest peace working with you, and I feel so privileged to have that opportunity to work with each and every one of you, because I see the end results of what your team does, and it's very moving and very valued at every strata of our community. Our deepest appreciation and congratulations go out to you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor and Council. I would also like to take a few moments to recognize a couple of specific members of the unit who have provided service that goes above and beyond. Sergeant Jake Jackson. Sergeant Jake Jackson is the first recipient of the Prescott Valley Police Department Family Violence Unit Officer of the Quarter. This award is awarded for outstanding service to the community for above and beyond efforts to improve offender accountability and provide assistance to victims of family and sexual violence offenses in furtherance of the mission of the Prescott Valley Police Department Family Violence Unit. To give you some specifics, in the fall of 2014, Sergeant Jackson volunteered to take on an extra added duty as supervisor of the Family Violence Unit. In addition to a full-time assignment supervising a patrol squad, Sergeant Jackson stepped up to the plate to provide needed leadership and oversight to the Family Violence Unit. Sergeant Jackson was instrumental during the development of the 2015 through 2018 grant application process. Sergeant Jackson also oversaw the implementation of the Family Violence Unit adjunct team, which has been highly productive and beneficial to the community to date. If I could just take a moment, or actually, would you mind explaining the adjunct team? Sure. Thank you. Sergeant Jackson is an excellent role model and mentors younger officers on a daily basis. He is well deserving of recognition as the, and I'm going to say second, but in essence, he will be the first recipient of the Family Violence Unit Officer of the Quarter Award. Good job.
Thank you. This is a bit of a surprise, but I can honestly tell you that all the individuals that were part of that team made my job all that much easier as being their supervisor. And that's I recognize that from the onset of volunteering to be the supervisor for this unit. And they made me look like a superstar, honestly. They made my job easy, and they're very passionate in their roles. The adjunct team that Deputy Chief spoke of consisted of individuals that are currently assigned to patrol that are also collaterally assigned to the adjunct team that assist in follow-up investigations for domestic violence cases, and they've done a fantastic job in that assignment. So again, that was a voluntary assignment that they put in for, and they've done a great job and surpassed all of our expectations. So thank you, Council. Larry, appreciate it.
Officer Jennifer Watson, if you could join me up front, please. Officer Watson is the Family Violence Unit Officer of the Quarter for the first quarter of 2015. Again, awarded for outstanding service to the community for above and beyond efforts to improve accountability and provide assistance to victims of family and sexual violence offenses in furtherance of the mission of the Prescott Valley Police Department Family Violence Unit. Good job. Hang on a minute, you'll probably have to talk. So.
Excuse me, we need to take pictures. Can we come at least take them with our phones?
Absolutely.
Somebody step up and do that. Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan's got his camera.
Come on.
Big phone there.
You got to twist your arm, Ryan. Look like mugshot.
Hope they're not getting names.
A little bit of detail about why Officer Watson was selected. Prior to being selected as a founding member of the Family Violence Unit adjunct team in January of this year, Officer Watson distinguished herself by taking on numerous additional tasks and responsibilities. As a member of our adjunct team, she consistently provides outstanding service to crime victims and the community on a daily basis. She is a member of the Yavapai County Coordinated Community Response Team and was a valued contributor at the Take Back the Night, Candlelight Vigil, Teen Maze, and Shop with a Cop. Officer Watson also works with a local multi-agency task force to target sexual predators and volunteers her time to assist as a big sister for Yavapai County Big Brothers Big Sisters. Officer Watson's above and beyond efforts make her a worthy selection to receive recognition as the first recipient of the Family Violence Officer of the Quarter Award.
I had no idea I was getting this, so I'm a little bit unprepared, but
To the mic.
Lay down.
sorry. I'm just really proud to be part of the Family Violence Unit, and I really think that we're doing some good things here in Yavapai County and victims, helping the victims and victims advocacy and making sure that we can try our best to make a difference and get them all the resources and things that they need. So I'm just really proud to be part of the Family Violence Unit. So everyone on the team does a really great job. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
And we'll continue on with the theme of our Family Violence Unit. I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce you to Rachel Montague, our newest member. Rachel is a native of Arizona. As a child, she had a lot of contact with police officers due to sometimes difficult home life. Positive contact and experiences with police officers at this time in her life inspired Rachel to pursue a career in law enforcement. 6 years ago, Rachel's husband, Mark, and two sons, Hayden and Alec, and I think Mark and Alec are here, returned to Arizona after living in Minnesota for 23 years. A year later, Rachel was hired as a dispatcher at the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office. After 3 years in dispatch, Rachel transferred to juvenile probation, where she served as the LEAP program coordinator for almost 2 years. Rachel most recently served as the Victims' Rights Coordinator for Yavapai County Juvenile Probation until recently transferring employment to the Prescott Valley Police Department as a Community Services Officer in our Family Violence Unit. While at the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office and with the encouragement of her dispatch supervisor, Rachel returned to college, and she is due to graduate from Prescott College with a bachelor's degree in Justice Studies in December of this year. Rachel has also been a longtime member of the MATFORCE Underage Drinking Task Force and the Yavapai County Coordinated Community Response Team. Rachel states, as a survivor of childhood domestic violence and child abuse, I am empathetic to the issues victims have of family violence. It is a privilege to be working with and assisting victims in Prescott Valley. And I tell you, Rachel, we at the Police Department feel it's a privilege to have you on board. Thank you.
Well, Rachel, we're very delighted to have you here. Thank you. And if the mayor were here, he would have asked you to speak 20 minutes, right?
So, Vice Mayor and Council, my appreciation for giving us this time to recognize this very, very effective and very well-staffed team. Every one of the individuals that work in this unit is a part of the team and fulfills a very important role. They do a great job in this community.
Absolutely. And Ryan, would you get a group photo? Because it would look great on our website. Thank you, Ryan, and thank all of you. Item B is Patriot Guardian Riders Award presentation. Mr. John Moffitt and Steve McRoberts.
Madam Vice Mayor, I believe John had volunteered to put this off to the very end of the meeting because he so missed City Council.
I think the town manager is mistaken. Very rarely, but you are this time, Larry.
John, he's not in charge, so you go.
Lieutenant Woods here, Vice Mayor?
I'm sorry.
Lieutenant Woods, is he present?
He's coming.
While Lieutenant's coming down, just a brief comment. I made a presentation a couple years ago to the town council about the Patriot Guard Riders. What we do is we provide flag lines for deceased veterans, active duty service members, and first responders. We also provide escort services at no charge to the family for veterans, active duty service members, and for memorial monuments, military monuments. One of those monuments is the Vietnam Traveling Wall, which recently came through the town of Prescott Valley from Grand Canyon, Harley, and Mayer to the Prescott Gateway Mall. And that's the major reason we're here today. Lieutenant Woods? Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, we have a certificate of appreciation. Whereas the Prescott Valley Police Department has often provided invaluable assistance to the Patriot Guard Riders in our mission to honor America's fallen heroes. And whereas Lieutenant John Woods has been the liaison between the Prescott Valley Police Department and the Patriot Guard Riders for missions which occur within the town limits. And whereas Lieutenant John Woods and officers of the Prescott Valley Police Department have gone above and beyond the call of duty in assisting the Patriot Guard Riders in our escort of the Traveling Wall to the Prescott Gateway Mall on 18 March 2015. Now, therefore, the Arizona Patriot Guard Riders gratefully present the certificate of appreciation to Lieutenant John Woods and the men and women of the Prescott Valley Police Department for your ongoing support of the Patriot Guard Riders and your ongoing support of our veterans. Dated this 28th day of May 2015, by myself, John Moffitt, Assistant State Captain for Northern Arizona, and Steve McRoberts, Ride Captain.
I'm more than happy to accept this. I did very little in this other than facilitate it and organize it. Those guys back there, our patrol officers, are the ones that made sure that it actually occurred.
We very rarely ask for help. We usually just notify local law enforcement that we're going to be coming through. But we had a KIA that we were bringing in from Yuma that same day. So most of our road guards had to go to Yuma to transport the body to Phoenix. And Steve and I and one other road guard were, I wouldn't say stuck, but we had to do the escort, and it was invaluable assistance that we got from your department. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John and Steve. We feel honored, and we thank you for the services you provide. You are honored and appreciated.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, members.
Oh, you are? Okay.
John, don't let us confuse you. We're going to do our certificates before you, okay? All right. Certificate of appreciation. I might as well say it right now. I had dental work, and I'm still numb here. And it's not working too well to speak. Of appreciation to Enthusiac for 15 years of service. And get up here. Do we have something, Diane?
Yes, actually, we do, Vice Mayor.
Good.
Would you like me to read it?
I would indeed.
Okay. This, I believe, was written by Ted Johnson in the library. And he wrote, I just completed Anne's evaluation, and she never ceases to amaze me. The number of programs she conducted for the children during the past 12 months was more than many libraries do for all ages all year. Anne has developed a strong team, which makes such stellar service look easy, whether it's fostering a love for reading among our young children, helping students find resources for a school assignment, or helping parents understand the value of reading with their children. Anne's contribution to the literacy level in the community to strengthen our economy and prevent crime is often overlooked. I asked Anne to identify the high point during the past 12 months. The children was her response. She loves kids, and they love her. For the past 12, 15 years, this has been the story, ever growing more beautiful. If I were to pick sides for a library team, I would pick Anne first. She can do it all, and she works harder than I do. Thank you, Anne, for creating an enduring legacy of educational and professional success in our community.
And you know what? There was no truth stretched. We didn't know the details, but we have valued you because we watched the smiles on the children's faces and the eagerness in the elevator to get to you. I bet you have something.
I was just thinking back. I remember when we interviewed Anne, the old library. One of the reasons she got it, she brought a snack as part of what she would use for the kids. So we had an idea. Anne has a really good following, and always has a following. And those kids have grown. And I think you probably still hear and maybe see them and run into them. The other thing about Anne, before I ever retire, I swear, she walks so fast, she's going to take flight. She is moving. And so we really appreciate what she's done, and she does it and on her own, and she achieves a lot. So appreciate that, Anne.
Thank you, everyone. I'm very humbled by your presence and your comments. I thank my colleagues for their support. I really appreciate it. I would also like to thank Joanne Mottet and Carol Swinson, who work in my department alongside me. And together, we get it done. We all love the kids. Thank you so much.
I do want to add the fan club that I'm very proud of that comes stand, all the people that came from the library tonight, and we have 2 trustees that are here. Stand up, please, so they can. I know it's the end of the day, but I think you can do it. So I really appreciate them supporting these events.
Thank you, Stuart. And if you'll read and present that to her.
We have an appreciation award from the town of Prescott Valley presented to Ann Pizak in appreciation for 15 years of dedicated service, May 2000 through May 2015. Thank you very much.
And Anne, I had the pleasure to give you your 2 little emeralds. Wear it with great pride and joy. And I want to come around and give you a hug. Is that okay?
Pose for the picture.
Our next recipient is Barbara Demon. 15 years of service again. You see, we have a trend going here. And Diane, do you have something?
Yes, we do, and I believe these comments were submitted by our own librarian, Stuart Matson. Barbara Tiemann is a crucial member of the Prescott Valley Public Library staff. Barb is the main cataloger for the library. Cataloging is a very precise field. As items are cataloged, the professional must try to be in the mindset of the patron. Catalogers make every attempt at creating many different routes patrons might take when searching for an item. Barbara is very successful in doing this. Prescott Valley Public Library checks out 35,000 to 40,000 items a month. This figure would not be as high if it were not for Barbara's skills. Barbara is also highly respected with the Yavapai Library Network. Barbara feels like her co-workers are a part of an extended family. Barbara grew up in Prescott and once had a career in the motion picture industry. We will let Barbara tell us how she won an Oscar. Barbara, thank you for 15 years of dedicated service to the town of Prescott Valley and the Prescott Valley Public Library.
Thank you so much. I had a volunteer that one day she told me something, and I had a remark, and it was very funny. And she said, "I'm going to tell my husband this." And her husband said, "I never knew librarians had a sense of humor." And of course, we do have a sense of humor. We wouldn't be out without it. And my coworkers and my family are the best I have ever had. And the library is my home, away from home. The library is like a town within a town, and it's busy, just like what Miss Ann has in the Richard Scarry little picture books. The little animals are always busy in that little town and very organized, and our library is the same way. And I like seeing the books all ordered. We'll still have books. We'll have all the books. We'll have all the books in an orderly fashion, and we have such good workers and such good friends. And really, there is never a dull moment in the library. And I'm very grateful to have this honor. I appreciate it, and I'm very humble as well. And Stuart, I'm glad I wasn't on the cutting room floor in Junior Bonner. I was in a movie. So I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful to be part of this community and in this area. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have an appreciation award from the town of Prescott Valley presented to Barbara Timon in appreciation for 15 years of dedicated service, May 2000 through May 2015. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Barbara, it's my honor to give you your emeralds and to say thank you for the humor and the smile. When I'm floating through, I always know where to find a smile. And that's not a joke, it's a reality, and it's very much appreciated, my dear. Thank you. Let's grab a picture here. Okay, we're going to revert to the police department. Don, get up here. We have a certificate of appreciation to Don Platt for 10 years. Oh, sir, sorry, no emeralds.
So I got permission from Diane to read this. I'm still okay, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Don, a little funny story. Don was born in France. You don't mind if I tell this to you? Don's dad was in the process, and he's right back there, Don Sr., in the process with a police department, I think, in state of New York. And a couple months out from being hired, he discovers that he's about to be drafted into the military, so he decides instead he's going to take control of that process and enlist. So Don Sr. becomes a military policeman. And I think he served 5 years, right? Well, they sent him to France. So Don Sr. went over to France, and his lovely wife, Joyce, joined him shortly thereafter, who was pregnant with Don Jr. So Don almost became a French citizen. But at the age of 21, he made the right choice and decided to stay in the United States. So we're glad to have him. Don was born and raised essentially after returning from France in Long Island, New York. And after graduating high school, he followed in his father's footsteps and joined the Army, where he was a paratrooper medic in the 82nd Airborne. After serving in the Army, Don served as an emergency medical technician with the Shirley Community Ambulance in Long Island. Don moved to Tempe, Arizona in 1993, where he lived until moving to Prescott Valley in 2004. Don got hired as one of our animal control officers and has served there since May 22nd of 2005. Don is a dedicated animal control officer. He's professional and shows compassion to both the citizens and animals that he serves. Don participates each year in numerous community-oriented activities. He has participated in Shop with a Cop and National Night Out for the past 10 years. He volunteers his time to help our SWAT team in trainings, and he is listed in the National Animal Control Association's disaster database to respond to disasters if needed. He attends neighborhood block watches to educate the public and has given a number of safety classes to our officers regarding animals. Don is always looking to improve his knowledge and has taken a number of training courses. In 2009 and 2010, he completed the National Animal Control Association Level 1 and Level 2 certification academies and became nationally certified as an animal control officer. In 2011, he was trained to recognize equine abuse and neglect, and in 2013, he completed the National Animal Cruelty Investigation course. Don was also our Civilian of the Year in 2012. It's been an honor to have Animal Control Officer Don Plate as a member of our police family for these past 10 years, and we look forward to many more years of continued excellent service. Don's father, again Don Sr., Mother Joyce are here tonight to join him. Thank you, Don.
I wasn't prepared for this, but this is a great honor. I'd like to thank the town council for recognizing me. I'd like to thank Robin, who I've worked with for the past 10 years, and she's taught me a lot. I'd also like to thank the police officers who've supported me throughout this 10 years, and finally my mom and dad who've supported me throughout my life. Thank you.
Okay, we have an appreciation award from the town of Prescott Valley presented to Donald Plate in appreciation for 10 years of dedicated service, May 2005 through May 2015.
And Don, I was messing with you a little bit because you do get an emerald. It's just not plural. You got to do 5 more years to get plural. And I want to share something that wasn't in here that maybe nobody in this room knows about. Don and I sang in a choir together. Did anybody know that? He has a hidden talent. Well, let me tell you. Well, Don, it's my honor to give you this 10-year service pin. And I've certainly been aware of your service. Our neighborhood had need of your skills more than once. And it's so interesting to me. We've had a lot of different layers here of the police department today, and they all exhibit excellence. And thank you for upholding that standard. Now let's get a picture. Okay, we'll invite John Munderloh up now to do the Water for Growth presentation.
Really? I guess I'll switch over to...
John, they've heard you before. They're all leaving.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and Council. I just wanted to give a brief presentation to address kind of a growing concern in the community we hear about from the public, which is where are we going to get water for growth as we're starting to see growth resurge. People have been voicing that concern, and I understand that some of you have been hearing that as well from some of the people in the public. I think really this really isn't so much about water for growth as it's about, will growth impact my water supplies personally? So I'm sorry, I have to give a little bit of background just for the folks that might be watching at home. We live in a water environment that is strictly controlled by the 1980 Groundwater Management Act primarily. That was through that act, 5 active management areas were established. We're in one of those, the Prescott Active Management Area, sitting there in the middle of the state. Within our little groundwater basin, we have actually about 2.9 million acre feet of water in our aquifer. That translates to around 950 billion gallons of water. Of that 2.9 million acre feet, about 10,000 goes back into the aquifer each year through recharge processes. We collectively, not just the town, but every user in the basin collectively pumps out about 17,000 acre feet. So the current use is about 0.2% of the total per year. So we do overdraft it. It's a small amount of overdraft. Our water levels are declining at a rate somewhat less than a foot per year. We have several hundred feet of saturated material. So we have quite a bit of water in the aquifer. We don't use any more now than we did in the 60s. And I think that's an interesting point that folks should understand. And I'll show you a graph and explain that more. So real quickly, this is what 0.2% of use looks like, this little tiny sliver out of the aquifer. That's our annual use compared to the total. And this is a graph going back as far as I could find records to 1965 showing water use from the active management area over time. So what's clear is that we've been able to sustain the growth in this area without increasing groundwater use. That's because of the system of rules and regulations that we have that converts and requires the conversion of previous uses, we call them grandfathered rights, into current uses so that we don't have a net increase in the use. So I know this is going to be very repetitive, but please bear with me. I'm just trying to help people understand. Arizona water law and policy initially grew out of a consumer protection program that came about because of land swindles back in the 70s. So because of that and the 1980 Groundwater Code, existing and future subdivisions have to prove they have a 100-year assured water supply. So that means essentially that groundwater within the aquifer, the current supply of groundwater, is reserved for the current residents and the existing platted lots. So lots that are out there that maybe aren't built on, but because of the nature that they went through the proper platting procedure, they have a 100-year assured water supply. So since new subdivisions cannot access groundwater in our basin, essentially it means that the prohibited, number one, they're prohibited from using groundwater. That's the new subdivisions. That isn't necessarily all water users. There's a category of users we call exempt wells, which are primarily private residential wells. They can access that groundwater supply. But platted subdivisions, properly permitted subdivisions, can't access groundwater. So groundwater by law is reserved for the existing residents and the currently platted lots. So growth can only occur on some other water supply other than that. So future subdivisions can't impact the water supply. It's pretty much as simple as that. I also hear often, well, why should I conserve water when you're, whoever you are, you're just going to use it to allow new growth? Well, because of our system of laws, water that is conserved by an individual cannot be used to permit or allow additional houses in subdivisions. So I just want to point out that the laws that we deal with regarding new growth and water in our area are extensive. This is just a picture of some of the documents that are always on my desktop and that guide my daily life and our future growth and water supplies for Prescott Valley. Let's get to water for growth then. So if growth can't impact the existing groundwater supply, where do they get their water? So again, they have to prove they have a 100-year water supply that's not groundwater, not the water that's reserved for the existing population. The decision on on whether they've proved that case of a 100-year assured water supply is the Department of Water Resources. It is not in your hands or any other platting authority's hands. The Department of Water Resources, a state agency, has to use their water law and their water science to determine whether a future subdivision will have a 100-year assured water supply. So sources of water available in Prescott Valley, for example, that might be available for new growth that aren't groundwater include about 2,700 acre-feet of effluent that came about through our processes, the town's process to treat groundwater, treat wastewater and convert it into reclaimed water. We call it effluent also. So that is available on the free market. So a developer could purchase that water supply. It's not a groundwater supply, and build a development off of that. Extinguishment rights, these are typically from former agricultural lands, grandfathered irrigation rights we call them. So if you extinguish an existing right, you can convert that into a use for subdivisions. And future imported water from the Big Chino. So those are primarily the sources of water that are out there for future subdivisions. With that, are there any questions?
Yeah, I just had one as it came up as you were talking, and that is there any restriction where they find the water to meet their 100-year obligation? Does it have to be within the water management area or somewhere else?
It can be from imported water. And right now, of course, that has to meet many regulations. There's only one legally available supply of water from outside the AMA, and that is water from the Big Chino. So.
John, I heard you say that they have to actually go to the state first. Is that correct? Is that what I understood correctly?
They would go to the state with their preliminary plat, which would have been pre-approved by the council, to get and show the total demand that they require for their subdivision. That's part of the proof to the Department of Water Resources for their 100-year assured water supply certificate. After they get that certificate, and only after they get that certificate, can you approve the final subdivision plat.
Okay, that's really good to know. Thank you.
If I can make a comment on that, one thing that's very important to understand is that when you're seeing new houses go up in our master plan communities, meaning Stone Ridge, Granville, Viewpoint, Pronghorn, Mingus West, or Quailwood, they already have their certificate of assured water supply, which was granted in the year 2000 or late 99 or somewhere in that time frame. They are still working on those certificates of assured water supply, and there are still significant housing options permitted by ADWR in every one of those master plan communities. And so they already have their approved water. Any new master plan community that would come to us would end up like, for example, Glassford Heights. They need to bring water to us before you would be asked to approve that subdivision. And then that would end up being a certificate of assured water supply from the Department of Water Resources.
And I might add, when those existing subdivisions obtain their certificate of 100-year assured water supply, that volume is set aside by the Department of Water Resources. They keep track of it. They don't give it out again. So that volume for the next 100 years is accounted for, and it isn't given out to somebody new.
I just wanted to make the comment, since I chair a water group and I'm vice chair on another water group, I want to reassure everyone that Prescott Valley has been far and away ahead in their planning for our water portfolio. And I hear it all the time when I serve on NACOG groups. I wish we had planned that well. So it's important for the citizens to know that the staff and the council here were very thoughtful and planned well ahead, because we knew the needs would exist, and the planning that is in place is more than sufficient. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, they're very good points, and I would ask John if he would care to anyway, to elaborate on the difference between California and Arizona. I'm throwing you a softball because there's a great deal of sensitivity that we see in the American Southwest right now because we have not had an overabundance of rain. But there is a difference in the way these two states have acted over the years. One is in a water emergency. Arizona is not.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, to me, the differences are vast in just management of the resource. And California has not approached this in a methodical fashion, whereas Arizona has. We've understood for well more than a century that we're a droughty state, that our water supplies are limited, as they are in California, quite frankly. But we began to manage for those limited supplies long ago through a series of actions that defined who owns water, through a series of actions that make sure that we don't over-allocate water, which is similar to what I just explained about the 100-year assured water supplies. They don't get given out twice, so they're held in reserve in the aquifer. We began this real serious process in 1980 with the 1980 Groundwater Management Act, which set up a system of water conservation, recognition of water rights, and growth restrictions to ensure that we don't end up in a situation that California's in.
Any other questions? John, we appreciate it very much, and I know our citizens who are going to be viewing this will find this very helpful. And if they listen carefully, they're going to be very comforted, because we have attended business well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm down to 7, comments and communications. And I have a communication, and I welcome anyone else that does. We were privileged today to do a ribbon cutting on our Enterprise Parkway. And partnerships are what made that possible. So I want to just briefly acknowledge those partnerships. Prescott Valley Economic Development Foundation, Arizona Commerce Authority, boy, they partnered up to $500,000 worth, folks. The Fain Signature Group, they donated the right-of-way, but you know what else they did? They did a lot of pre-grading on that property, which I forgot to mention today when we cut the ribbon. And that was a substantial gift. ADOT was involved. Dave and Associates worked on the engineering. And of course, Asphalt Paving and Supply built the road, and it was on time and on budget. And after 4 months of construction, we now have 4,500 feet of a new road connecting this industrial park to Highway 69, increasing the potential for the location of new businesses and new jobs in the area. So that was a big, very special event today, and thank you, Mary, and thank you, Marty, for being there today. Does anyone else have any communications? We're going to move on to consent agenda, and because of what I said before about my dental work, it'll get much faster if Mr. Anderson reads this for me here.
Okay, thank you. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Town Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. A, approving the May 7 work study and May 14, 2015 council meeting minutes. B, approving the council meeting calendar for fiscal year 2015-2016. C, authorizing the mayor to sign the database access agreement with the Arizona Department of Transportation Motor Vehicle Division, allowing electronic data access to driving records an additional 3 years. D, financial report. E, investment report. F, quarterly TPT report. G, approving accounts payable. H, authorizing the mayor or in his absence the vice mayor to sign ADOH contract number 310-15 for $275,000 in home funds from the Arizona Department of Housing. I, authorizing payments for the owner-occupied housing rehabilitation program improvements made. J, approving the statement of work agreements with IBM for Prescott Valley participation in the COPLINK program for the remainder of FY 14-15 and for FY 15-16. K, accepting the Library Services and Technology Act LSTA grant. L, approving reversionary plat RP 15-002 MPM Investments. Does anybody wish to remove any item? Hearing none, I would accept a motion.
I'd be glad to make a motion. Motion to approve all items listed on the consent agenda by electronic vote.
And a second, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. As promised, it went much faster. We'll move on to new business for review, comment, and/or possible action. A is consideration of authorizing mayor to sign resolution number 1919, declaring that certain document entitled Amendments to Section 10-01-030 Fireworks to be a public record for adoption by reference.
Vice Mayor and Council, the legal department has been working on cleaning up some of our resolutions to bring them in line with the changes in state statute. This being the first of those, and if you take a look at this, it brings us in compliance with what the state had gone ahead and authorized. And so there's been a cleanup of some of these resolutions that Carol Cornell has been doing and working on when she's had the opportunity. And so you're seeing just a cleanup, bringing these in line with state law, essentially.
Simply put, housekeeping.
Exactly.
Does any of the council have questions or comments?
No.
I would accept a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution number 19, or vice mayor, sorry, to sign resolution number 1919 declaring that certain document entitled Amendments to Section 10-01-030 Fireworks to be a public record for adoption by reference by electronic vote.
And I will second that motion.
Thank you. That passes unanimously, so we'll go on to B. Consideration of approving the reading of ordinance number 806, adopting by reference that public record entitled Amendments to Section 10-01-030 Fireworks on 2 separate occasions by title only, then place the name on the final passage. And this will be the first reading.
Ordinance number 806, an ordinance of the mayor and the common council of the town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, adopting by reference a document entitled Amendments to Section 10-01-030 fireworks declared by Resolution Number 1919 to be a public record, which amends Section 10-01-030 fireworks in Article 10-01 offenses in Chapter 10 offenses of the Town Code to allow the sale, possession, and use within the town of permissible consumable fireworks as defined by Arizona Revised Statute Section 36-1601, only on certain dates specified by state law, providing that all other chapters, articles, and sections of the Town Code not herein amended shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provisions shall not be affected, but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Diane. Well, we'll move on to C, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1920, approving a master IGA with ADOT for traffic signal maintenance. Thank you, Norm.
Hold on, Vice Mayor. I always have some overheads, and I don't know. There we go. Vice Mayor, good evening, and rest of the council. This agreement you have before you is a intergovernmental agreement for the enterprise signal that we just, as Vice Mayor pointed out earlier, just had a wonderful ribbon cutting ceremony today, and all the partnerships we had to see that project come to fruition. So it was a great day for a ribbon cutting ceremony, and we had a good turnout. So what you're seeing here is what's typical standard practice. Anytime that a municipality puts a signal on an ADOT highway, you have to have an agreement for the signal, because basically what it boils down to is that ADOT is responsible for operation and maintenance of the signal, but we as a municipality pay the power bill. So that's really what has always been standard practice throughout the years. And what we did on this particular new signal, it's been a number of years since we put a signal on a ADOT highway here in Prescott Valley, and what ADOT wanted to do was they actually wanted to make a master agreement, and all of the other past IGAs for each individual signal we've done, they've put that into a master agreement. So they've kind of cleaned up, done some housekeeping, and that's what a lot of this particular item is. But the genesis was the particular new signal at Enterprise Parkway that kicked us off. So that's just a little simple exhibit of what we talked about today. Just a little rehash about some of the exhibit. There is 11 signals on State Route 69 within our municipal limits, all the way starting down at Bachelor Mountain Drive all the way to Sundog. So there's 11 of them on Highway 69. And actually, this is a short exhibit of some of those that you see on Highway 69. And actually, we have 3 signals on 89A that we have this intergovernmental agreement. So this particular agreement, Ivan worked with ADOT. I think the first couple of iterations, as Ivan puts it, had to fuss with him a little bit about some of the indemnification language. But in the end, he worked with the AG's office, I know, and our Southwest Risk to get the agreement more in line that he's acceptable and that we're good with. So what's your before you tonight is an intergovernmental agreement to approve and update all the signal maintenance, as we've talked about, for the signals that we share with ADOT, which basically says, yes, we will pay the electric bill, and ADOT will operate and maintain those signals along, as I mentioned, 11 on Highway 69 in place today, and 3 of them on SR 89A. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. We discussed this earlier today, and there's some discussion in the newspaper about who controls the timing, and we know, I think, to disclaim any other information we may have seen, is that Arizona Department of Transportation has clear authority to time the lights, even the ones that we have electrical, responsibility for.
Very good point. Yes, those are ADOT's to operate and maintain, and conversely, the timing is theirs to take care of. And they do have timing sequences on their lights on Highway 69.
Or so they say.
I just wanted to say thank you to you and all of the team and all of the people that partnered with us on this road. It was a great ribbon cutting. It's fabulous to see the community work together and go forward and make things happen. And Because when you get involved in a lot of the other stuff, it just seems to take forever. It's refreshing to see you guys, put your boots to the ground and you're moving forward, and it really lifts up my spirits, I will tell you that. I so appreciate it. Thank you. Great
Thank you,
work
Councilman
out
Alley.
there.
It was a fun project. We had, as we say, lots of project partnerships, and it was nice to celebrate today. On time, on budget project, and actually see a signal working and open up a much more needed area for job growth.
Time and on budget.
That's what we most enjoy.
This has nothing to do with this current issue, and I should have mentioned it during the comments and communications. But over the past few weeks, the roads have been worked on around town, and I just wanted to comment what a good job has been done to the roads and how quickly they've been taken care of and how efficient the crews were in moving traffic through the two-lane streets. Because one of the roads I travel up and down several times a day, and they were always quick to move us through. And the roads have turned out very well, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I'll pass it on to the streets
Pass
guys
that
because
along,
they do take a lot of pride in their work, and with the funding we do apply to roadways, they do a great job of keeping that service level as great as high we can get with the funding we have available.
Thank you.
I have a question. A citizen asked me about the signal there at Enterprise Parkway. They wanted to know, and I don't know the terminology, so I'll botch this. There's timing mechanisms at signals that only trigger when there's traffic on a particular street. And I was asked if that triggering mechanism would be at that Enterprise Parkway stoplight. And I said, I don't know. But
Actually, we have
find out.
two mechanisms to trigger. Typically the side leg of Enterprise will have to be triggered with traffic. So there's two methodologies to do it. You can either do it by camera or loops cut into the pavement, and they both work equally as well, and it's dependent on the application. But this particular project does have loops cut into the pavement. So you can actually see them today, that you see the little circular loops. So that's what triggers when there's a call on the side. So to the point about timing on Highway 69, if there's no side call and any vehicles waiting, that light will stay green on Highway 69. Let's call it the non-commuter hours. If there's not a lot of people on that side leg or vehicles waiting, then it will stay green the whole time.
I am delighted at that answer, and I'll go home and call him. I would accept a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion. Motion to authorize the mayor and his absence the vice mayor to sign resolution number 1920 approving this master IGA with ADOT for traffic signal maintenance by electronic vote.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
Very nice.
That is unanimous.
Thank
We
you.
will move on to D, consideration of approving the amendment for the out-of-scope services with CH2M H Hill OMI in the amount not to exceed $133,582.97. How do you get 97 cents?
I don't know. Somebody should have put 2 zeros after that and called it good, if you ask me. Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. So what you have in front of you is an amendment to our agreement with OMI for out-of-scope services, and we do this once in a while when we have work that requires their knowledge and experience with our treatment system. And so we're amending the agreement that we have with them that we do annually to pull this work into it and provide the funding mechanism for it. And the items that are listed in here, we've got 2 of them that are water related and 3 that are wastewater related. And the water ones, one of them is putting an electrical transfer switch at the Santa Fe well site. That's so that we can use the very large generator that we purchased about a year ago. At that site, we need a way to transfer the power. We don't currently have it in place, so that would set us up at Santa Fe well to be able to run that well off of the generator in the event of an emergency. And then some electrical sub-monitoring equipment, which just helps us monitor the power coming into our different wells, so that we can. Sometimes you get power that we call dirty, where it isn't quite what we're supposed to be getting, and we can kind of monitor if we're having problems with our equipment. We can determine whether it's an equipment problem or whether it was in fact caused by power coming in and spikes or whatever. So those are the two for the water side. For the wastewater, we're going to be installing the mixers in the anoxic basins that we purchased. I believe we purchased them maybe about 6 months ago. Maybe it was a little bit longer ago than that. They've been sitting there waiting, so this will provide the labor to get those installed. And then we need to do two small studies. One of them is collection system flow monitoring, which is we need to see where we are in our collection system in terms of flows and capacities at certain locations to make sure that we've still got the capacity that we need, and that information will be used when and if we're able to do an update to our master plan, say next year or so. And then the other one is to do a solids capacity analysis at the treatment plant. And so for a treatment plant, usually they're designed based on two different things. One is how much flow water is coming into the plant, and how much material is being brought into the plant by that flow, and that's the solids loading. When I was going to school as a design engineer, you learned that you design a wastewater treatment plant based on 100 gallons per person in your community per day, and a BOD and TSS loading, those are the solids, of 250 milligrams per liter. Well, things have changed since then, and especially in our community, where our collection system doesn't get a lot of inflow from rainwater and stuff. It's very tight because it's a newer system. Our inflow, our incoming plant flow, is closer to 60 gallons per person per day, so not 100, but 60. And when your flow drops, if your solid stays the same, the concentration goes up, even though the amount is the same. The other thing that's changing is all of our plumbing. Everything that's going in these days is low flow type things, water conservation. And so the ratio of the amount of solids per volume of liquid is much higher. So when I was in school, we designed for 250 milligrams per liter. Our plant normally sees 400 milligrams per liter day in and day out. So we just need to evaluate what our solids loading is and compare that to what the plant was designed for in 2007. I think it was maybe 300, 350. So it's gone up. We need to identify where the problems might be so that in the future we can address those directly. So I guess with that, I would answer any questions that you might have.
I like the fact that we're proactive thinking. Questions? Any questions? Then a motion and a second, please.
Madam Vice Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the amendment to the professional service agreement with CH2 MHL OMI for the out-of-scope services in the amount not to exceed $133,582.97.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
And that's unanimous. And I want to publicly thank you, Neil. I want you to know that when I served on that water panel at the water convention, I felt very supported by you. And I just want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It meant something to me, and I didn't take it casually that you were right there waiting afterwards. I appreciated it very much.
Well, you're welcome, and you did a great job.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to 10 comments from the public. Consideration and discussion of general unscheduled comments from the public. Those wishing to address the council need not request permission in advance. Any such remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof. Such remarks shall be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor or the vice mayor. At the conclusion of the unscheduled comments, individual members of the council may respond to the item addressed at the discretion of the mayor, or they may ask the town manager to review the matter or ask that the matter be placed on a future agenda. Do we have anyone wishing to address the council? In that case, I would accept a motion for an adjournment.
Madam Vice Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. And thank you, Council Anderson, for helping me out tonight. I appreciate it.